Ubisoft is dead. Do I honestly need to say more?
Ubisoft has been trying so hard to convince us and most importantly their investors that everything is going fine at their company when really it isn't. The Ubisoft stock had crashed 18% after an earnings miss, and the Tencent deal is not one that's loved.
Oh, what's that? Assassin's Creed Shadows is breaking records selling best Assassin's. Missed the earnings? How is that possible? Isn't Assassin's Creed like amazing? Isn't Assassin's Creed breaking records? Isn't Assassin's Creed on course to sell 50 million copies in a year or something? How did they miss their earnings call? That is crazy.
By investors. Of course, we're finding out that they're delaying tons of their major games to increase quality, which means that they were going to be Ubi slop when they finally came out. Their net bookings declined over 20%, and now we're finding out that they are going to be reducing costs of $110 million over the next 2 years. I have a few different things to
Like, why? $110 million over the next 2 years literally means nothing for them at this point. I mean, why?
show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I am not sitting here saying that Ubisoft is gonna go under in the next, I don't know.
I am. Again, this was already clear a year ago that Ubisoft has absolutely no chances to survive. They are going bankrupt. They technically already are bankrupt, but again, big companies with brand recognition as big as Ubisoft, when they go under, they will never just stop existing, right? It's gonna be sold for parts. The management is gonna be changed. Someone's gonna step in and provide liquidity or something like that. Something is gonna happen. Ubisoft is not just gonna stop existing, but Ubisoft as it is now, with everything that they are doing now, with everything that works there currently, is gonna be completely changed. They have no. They're not going to stop existing, but they are going to stop existing in the sense that what they are currently. They're going to be changed. They're going to be altered. It's happening.
3 years. They are a behemoth company, and I don't see that happening, but I do see them holding back on the amount of products that they release and hopefully increasing quality so they don't
Ah,
come out and get basically nobody playing them like Star Wars Outlaws. They put them
there's no way. Ubisoft is not going to change unless you literally fire everyone in that company. Again, Ubisoft is right there next to Bethesda and BioWare. Two companies that have literally not a single person with talent left. All the person with talent from Ubisoft left like 40 years ago and paid Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That's what they did. Everyone left in Ubisoft is just a joke. Remember when Ubisoft was threatening to sue people if they talked bad about their developers? Well, some people received letters from Ubisoft, which honestly read like fucking jokes because the only people in their law division are probably DEI interns at this point. Like, Ubisoft is woke and stupid. Usually, woke entitles you to be just stupid in general, but no. In Ubisoft's case, they're somehow woke and still stupid. Okay? They're so stupid that stupid needs to be mentioned specifically, exclusively. It's insanity. No, this company is like one of the worst, most failure things in the world, and everyone can see it. It's right there, visible for everyone.
the most amount of money that they ever had towards marketing that game, and we know that it underperformed. Massive IP should have made them at least $500 million, if not a billion. Should have sold millions and millions of copies, and that didn't happen. We
True.
had their big quadruple A game Skull and Bones launched to basically no players.
Skull and Bones lost a minimum of 400 million. Probably after 2 years, we're gonna hear that actually it lost 600 million. And the funniest part about Skull and Bones, by the way, is if you don't know, that game was sponsored by by Malaysia to Ubisoft. Ubisoft technically didn't have to put in a single dime of their money to make Skull and Bones. but they did somehow spend 400 million currently in its development, which is insane and wild, obviously. And how? Well, because they were granted the money by Malaysia and by the Malaysian government. Yes, by the way, I'm not misspeaking. If you did not know, by the Malaysian government, and then they did nothing. Then they did nothing again, and they remade Skull and Bones. I think something like 5+ times. They had no idea what to do. And in the end, what did we get from Skull and Bones? A pirate game where the most exciting loot that you get is um hard wood planks and cannonballs, maybe. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm a pirate. Yar har har. Surrender your hard wooden planks because reasons.
It just didn't stick the landing with people. X Defiant is being shutting down, and Assassin's Creed Shadows is a tricky situation to navigate because they have said
Nothing tricky about it, babe. It's just shit.
basically they've engaged 3 million players, and I am sure that half of that is from the Ubisoft subscription service. There are plenty of people playing it that way day one.
Yeah, the official number is like 2.2 million copies sold for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Again, hard doubt. For Steam, we were almost exactly on the money. It was 348K copies sold, which is ridiculously underwhelmingly not a lot. And on PlayStation, it's like 1.8 million, which seems like a lot, but again, it's just not. That's one thing in general. And number two, I think that's a lie. There is no way people are actually gonna play Assassin's Creed on fucking anywhere else but Steam if they are capable of. It just doesn't happen, okay? Listen, if Assassin's Creed sold so well on Ubisoft's platform, they would never even go to Steam. But they did, because their sales are horrible, which means whatever is happening is not cutting it. Also, the fact that the Assassin's Creed Shadows official Twitter account was literally giving away free keys of the game like 4 fucking hours in after release is also kind of very telling if you ask me about the situation.
One, and they don't want to admit that, oh, well, technically we've only sold, I don't know, 1.5 million copies. So they're giving us the 3 million number to make it look more important than it really is. I had always estimated that it would sell 3 to 4 million copies when really, from estimates, they needed to sell 6 million plus.
Don't listen to her, okay? They probably need to sell at least 10 million copies year one to even be remotely close to breaking even. The reality is, this is 100% without exception Ubisoft's most expensive game ever, and that says a lot considering Star Wars Outlaws was already a record breaking game via expense, how much it cost to make. And Star Wars Outlaws is estimated to cost around 500 to 600 million. And Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows is probably more than that. Or at least, worst case scenario, equivalent. Okay? Worst case scenario for us, best case for them, which is still a disaster. They probably need roughly 15 million copies sold to break even. That is the most likely estimate here. And that's not happening.
It doesn't look like that's going to happen. They have really been holding these numbers away from the public eye. It doesn't even look like they're really giving them to investors. And every other piece of information we've gotten surrounding Ubisoft recently is that they are in financial hell. I don't believe that Assassin's Creed Shadows actually sold as well as they want us to believe. That's just my opinion. Of course, take it with a grain of salt. You might
Of
have a
course
different
they
one,
didn't.
but I have not seen anything that points to this being a smashing success. The Steam numbers aren't good. They're giving us player numbers instead of units sold. We're hearing that they are restructuring their company. Their stock is falling. They're canceling and delaying major games to increase quality. None of that looks good. Now we're finding out, though, that Ubisoft will reduce costs of $110 million in the next 2 years. So it says Ubisoft had just released its full year 2024 to 25 earnings figures, and a new cost reduction program has been spotted in the report. Yeah, it's probably because they put like $1 billion into developing just those 4 or 5 games that I had listed. Yeah, Skull and Bones, X Defiant, Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed
Two.
Shadows, so 4 games, and never mind the
Billy.
ones that they were planning. But that's like $1 billion in development cost right there from the figures that we have heard for all of
Two.
these
Two.
titles.
Two.
That is a hell of a lot of money to not even make close to it. It seems with the 4 combined. It says, though, the company has already achieved its initial plan and is slightly above the around 224 million USD target. However, they added an additional fixed cost reduction target of over 110 million USD, which has to be achieved in the next 2 years. Ubisoft has shut down several studios and laid off staff over time to achieve cost efficiency, and with the latest cost reduction program, it seems that more shutdowns and layoffs could occur. Yeah, wouldn't be shocking. They're not making the money they need, so they have to cut loose the weaker links. This is what happens when you are a major company like this and you overhire when you don't need to. You don't need to have thousands.
The funny part is the overhiring thing is true for almost every except Ubisoft. Ubisoft didn't really overhire. They just failed everything, which is honestly kind of worse in my opinion. Yeah, Ubisoft did not overhire. They literally failed everything possible. Okay, they probably hold the record in the Guinness.
And thousands of employees. I mean, look at what happened with Shadows. It has over 2 hours worth of credits. There were over 3,000 people who touched that game, from their main studios to other studios they brought in for consultation and playtesting and with help. Like,
Well, to be fair, it could be worse. It could be Diablo 4, where that piece of crap got touched by, what was it, 5,000 or 7,000 people? I mean, it could honestly be worse. It could be Diablo 4, but Diablo 4 sold 30 million copies, though. It's sad, really. It's really sad. It looked so good. I was so excited, and then Blizzard just saw my balls hanging, and they were like, boop, 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 boop. And there we go. My balls got slapped.
we're talking a lot of money there. Regardless, though, it says, moreover, the earnings state that Assassin's Creed Shadows prompted strong praise from players and delivered a performance clearly ahead of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I just can't believe them when they say that. It didn't receive strong praise from players. It got absolutely
I mean, why not lie? It's not like anyone's gonna check.
wrecked online. And with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, this game literally has more players on Steam than Shadows does. I just can't sit here and be like, yeah, I'm definitely going to blindly believe Ubisoft when I'm seeing something completely different. And in other news, Ubisoft has delayed
By the way, if you're thinking Ubisoft's lying, you're probably correct. You see, Ubisoft is such dire situation that lying, literally getting caught in lies, doesn't actually change anything for them. Like, it doesn't matter. When you're this desperate, they're effectively a beast, being cornered, and now they're bailing.
its significant IPs to improve game quality. If you are a studio of this size and a company of this caliber, and you are delaying your major IPs because, oh, you want to allow for better quality games, it seems to me that they realized over the past year and a half that they couldn't get away with selling us beta games. These titles feel like you're playtesting them. They've got bugs, they've got glitches, they've got major issues with
I mean, all of these games constantly have bugs and issues. I mean, what are we even talking about, okay? The hype after Oblivion Remastered is over, and now people are complaining that they can't play for more than 30 minutes without a crash.
level design or character design and even clothing with things like clipping. Like, we're talking a slew of problems, from minor visual bugs to major gameplay bugs. And they can't get away with that anymore, so that's why they have to delay their games. It's not because they actually want to give players a better experience, it's because they've gotten absolutely wrecked by us. It says, though, following the success of Shadows, Ubisoft has said that it is delaying some of its major unannounced titles to allow for better quality games. In the company's latest earning report, Ubisoft boss Yves Guillemot confirmed that it will be delaying an unspecified number of games from its biggest brands, including Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six The Division, and Ghost Recon. I know that there are a lot of people.
Like, who cares about the Division? Ghost Recon's also kind of in the mud. Far Cry, I'm pretty sure Far Cry is just Joker. Rainbow Six is still ongoing thing, but I mean, that's a Rainbow. The situation with Rainbow Six is kind of a wild thing because I mean, the amount of non-binary stuff that has been put in Rainbow Six, and the amount of absolute tubes stuck down people's throats with slop flowing like it's ambrosia is kind of insane, and it doesn't stop.
Also speculating that they could completely change the narrative direction of some of these games. They see the political climate shifting. They can see
Hello, fucking hell. Yeah, these companies that have replaced talent with activism are gonna change their approach to stuff. No, no, they're activists. I mean, what do these activists even give a shit about, honestly? Do you think they care about getting fired? No, they're activists. They don't care. They're gonna get they're probably already have like 3 other activist places they can go work after until they close down. Okay, this is not how activism works.
that player interest is shifting away from their games because they're so heavy handed politically. Maybe that's the case. The problem is that companies like Ubisoft feel like they can do no wrong. So it takes a lot to get them to listen and to change. And hey, I would love for Ubisoft to go back to the old days.
Dude, how many times have we had this conversation, eh? How many times do you have honestly had this exact conversation? And it has never been different. It has always stayed the same. Oh, these companies, they're seeing that they're losing money. They're gonna change now. And they don't. And they don't. They just don't. Why would they? Again, you it the rod starts from the head was kind of applicable in a lot of cases, but in this case, the rod has permeated through all of the body. The scarlet fever has taken in. It's fucking over, okay? The sleeping curse is upon these companies, and they're not their first nightmare is never ending. It is what it is.
Of making really high quality content and making games that captured my interest and love, but I just don't have any faith in them anymore. And I don't think that anybody really should either. We also had seen their stock crashing after the earnings miss and Tencent deal fallout. Ubisoft stock fell sharply on Thursday, dropping more than 18% because of disappointed investors and triggered renewed concerns about the company's
Nobody liked the earnings call. I loved the earnings call.
financial direction. Now, they were already facing a lawsuit by investors because they were so upset with the Tencent deal. And now we're also seeing their stock crash, and it has not recovered yet. This was the initial Thursday number, 11.68, and now it's dropped to 9.63. It went up to 9.82, but it's back down to 9.72. So we're
I wonder if this is just gonna shoot back up to whatever this point was in 2 weeks.
not talking. We're not talking about a recovery yet. We're not talking about.
I mean, we actually are probably talking about the recovery. At this point, it's clear that Ubisoft's like a cockroach. You just can't stamp it out. But the thing is, if you press 5 years, you see that these these 18% don't even matter. That's the best part. When you press 5 years on max, you understand that this a minus 18 doesn't really matter. Yeah. Anyway, that was very dark. 10 out of 10. Bye.